Hello, Frank Sepe for Muscle and Fitness, and I am super excited to introduce our first guest for the National Military Fitness and Wellness Month. I am here with Senior Military Editor Robert Wilkins and guest Matt Cable. Take it away, Rob.
Hi, good evening, everybody. Thanks for the introduction, Frank. Glad to be here with my fellow airman, world-class athlete, Matt Cable.
Mhm.
Matt, welcome to
Thanks, sir.
you're the first interview for this month's, military family, military fitness and wellness month.
Right.
And we're really glad to have you. Again, you're a world-class champion, one of the best that's ever done it. And we want to know a little bit about your background. Tell us about your military background to begin with.
Yes, sir. 2012, I joined the Air National Guard. I've been in now 10 years, but unfortunately, 2014, I was diagnosed with leukemia, battled back, was able to go on deployment in 2019 after fighting the med board and everything. But while I was deployed, I relapsed. And so from my deployment, I got medevac back to the States. I was in Walter Reed for about 40 days and got back into remission. After months of fighting, I was able to have my bone marrow transplant. And now I am a 3 years in remission. And 3 years ago, had my transplant and doing well, feeling good, doing well. And just continuing moving forward.
Hey, Matt, take me through the process when they diagnosed you with leukemia. Now, a lot of people, I mean, it's the end of the world. They kind of, they don't progress. They don't have the motivation or the support group around them to get over that. How did you, when you first found out? Take us through that process. What you were thinking, and what transpired after that.
So after my first my first round, and after hearing the news of having leukemia, I didn't even know what leukemia was, to be honest with you. I had to look it up. My mom is a nurse, and so she was able to also tell me a little bit about it, and obviously nurses and doctors as well.
Mm-hmm.
But the biggest thing for me was having that family support. It was huge. Family support, it came first, and then my mentality came second. So I knew that if I had any weakness in my mind, that I wouldn't make it, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And so in my head, I knew I was going to beat it right off the bat. I said, I'm going to beat it. Let's go. Whatever happens. I'm going to give it all I got. And so that's what I did. In the first week of going through chemotherapy in 2014, I endured complete organ failure. So I got an infection after my first round of chemo, and it completely it took me down. And I ended up in ICU and a coma for 18 days. I had lost 60 pounds, but my fight and will to live, I woke up, and it was rough, hearing everything from my family, what they were going through and what was going on, what people were saying, on how I wasn't going to make it. But they believed I was going to make it. And so I woke up and they were relieved. And I looked in the mirror, and each day took one step at a time and continued just fighting every day, through all the chemo rounds, just everything. I was, all my hospital stays. In 2014, I think I was in the hospital, most of that year.
Wow.
And finally, after my last round of chemo, I was solid. My body had recovered for the most part, recovered. And yeah, I give a lot of benefit to that. It was just all my hours in the gym, prior, before, and after my first diagnosis. And I was able to build my body back up, and it was able to fight off, infection, was able to continue turning. And that's kind of what led up into, fighting medboard and staying in the military.
So
Which
Matt,
was
For those who are not in the military, can you explain what a med board is and what their purpose is?
Yes. So a med board is your medical evaluation board. You go through it. Let's say you get an injury while you're deployed or on active duty orders. You then go through a med board. They want to make sure that you are medically cleared and you're able to continue serving in the military. Mm-hmm. And it's not easy for everybody. People who get injuries while they're deployed, get sicknesses like myself. Sometimes they don't beat the med board and they don't make it and they get kicked out. And mentally that can really mess with people. So my biggest thing was, getting as healthy as I can to prove and show that I could stay in. And that's what I did. Worked every day as hard as I could to stay in. And at the end, I was able to fight and beat the med board, stay in. And I got coded, so I wasn't able to deploy right away. But eventually, over 5 years, I was able to deploy with my squad, my team, and that was in 2019, before my second relapse.
So most people would just be happy to get over leukemia or to get their life back, but it was really important to keep serving your country.
Absolutely.
Which is amazing. Like, did you have a fitness background before the military, or did you acquire it during your when you were in the Air Force?
Yeah, I did. So it's really crazy. I grew up. My family wasn't in the sports really. It's kind of crazy how I grew up and how I just loved any and all sports, honestly. So
Matt, where did you grow up? What state?
I was in Montana. Okay. So my dad was in the Navy, and so we traveled a lot. I was born in San Diego, California. We're in San Diego for a couple of years, and then he got stationed in Hawaii. So we were in Hawaii for a couple of years, and then my parents, unfortunately, or fortunately, whatever you want to see it, they divorced, and my dad obviously had to stay in Hawaii. And I actually, with my brother, my mom, and us, we moved us back to Montana, where my grandparents lived. And so I spent most of my childhood in Great Falls, Montana. And I was a 5-sport athlete growing up. It's actually funny. I found out when I was about 6 years old that I actually had Tourette's syndrome. And doctors wanted to put me on all these medications and whatnot. I think I was on medication for a little while, but my mom just eventually was like, you know what? I don't want him, on medications, his whole life or whatever. I want to wean him off. And that's what she did. And it was probably the best thing for me. But I think with me having Tourette's syndrome, I needed sports, I think, mentally and physically. I needed to be moving around all the time. And I enjoyed it. So I know at a young age, I started judo, from judo, obviously wrestling and judo. And then in middle school, I started football, and I never stopped. I continued playing football. I went from football to track to wrestling, baseball. So I was a 5-sport athlete. I remember freshman year, I started powerlifting. And then sophomore year of high school, I was the strongest kid in our school. And I mean, we were a 2A school. So, we had some beasts, but I just trained. It was a passion of mine, lifting weights, powerlifting and sports. And I ended up being a 5-sport athlete. After high school, I actually got a scholarship to wrestle at a private Catholic college. The name's changed since I went, but it was a UGF, the University of Great Falls, and they were at the time ranked number 1 in the nation for NAIA college wrestling, and so it was pretty awesome that I was able to wrestle there. But 2 years into my scholarship in wrestling, I was just, man, I felt like I was stuck. I was like, man, like obviously, I love what I'm doing. I love training and sports and wrestling, but I felt like I needed to get my career going. And I wanted to get it going now. So after 2 years of college, I actually just stopped and just joined the military. And that's when I joined the Guard. And, you know, it was the best thing for me. That was in 2011, early 2011, because at the end of 2011, I actually signed and I shipped out early 2012. And it's the best thing for me. I wanted to start my, obviously, military career. I wanted to be in security forces so I can, after, join law enforcement of whatever type, you know, I wanted to do. If I was civilian police officer or whatever it was, I wanted to be in law enforcement. And so I thought, you know, security forces was a way in. And the knowledge that I gained, you know, throughout going all through training and whatnot, it was awesome. But I ended up being full-time most of my career. I was on Title 10 active orders for most of my career. And, you know, I was blessed, you know. My story, it's like, it's a curse and a blessing, all in one, honestly. Like, you can't have the bad with the, you can't have the good without the bad. And that's kind of how it's been. And,
it's amazing. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing what you accomplished. For people who not, you know, obviously haven't been in the military. So you went from a five-star athlete to obviously in the Guard. What would you tell people who are signing up now for the military, joining the military? What would you tell them as far as going in their fitness level? What should they work on? What should they do? Because obviously it's a lot different from football and wrestling and stuff like that. What would you tell them to be prepared? They're going to join. They're going to do, you know, their service. What would you say, what would you recommend?
biggest thing is if you do have a goal of joining the military, the biggest thing is to start is your nutrition. First thing, nutrition, because this world, man, you can see it. A lot of these individuals are overweight, and they can't make it. They can't even test in.
Currently, only 23% of youth between 17 and 24 can serve. Out of that 23%, only about 2% have the propensity or want to serve. So we are at the worst recruiting numbers of all time. And if we can't recruit for the military, then more than likely we can't recruit for law enforcement, fire departments, and eventually it will get to the Fortune 500 companies, because with obesity comes people who are often out of work or they have medical issues. I think the average right now is about $2,000 more for insurance for those who are labeled overweight or obese.
Yeah.
So yeah, obesity is huge, and that's a big thing I see in the military these days. These individuals are, you know, like they'll lose the weight, you know, to get in, and then when they're in, they start gaining the weight back, and it's not good. Like I don't want to go overseas with you. I don't want you watching my back if I know you can't carry me, if you can't pick me up, if I'm shot.
Yeah.
Anyways,
and like in your own personal opinion, for many folks who might not understand about the importance of physical fitness to the military, as a law enforcement specialist and expert, why do you think physical fitness is so important for those who may have never been around the military or who don't have family members who serve? Because I think a lot of folks don't understand, like, why is it so important?
For me, I think one of the biggest reasons is my mental toughness. So you go in to the gym every day and train. You think, well, why? Well, there's a reason. You put yourself and your body in pain every day. You start to enjoy the pain, and then you see results from that pain, and you see results from training and proper training techniques, and then you see that your body can do more things than it's used to doing. You can run longer, you can lift more weight, you can save people's lives if you're deployed. You know, if you're in the military, it's just a fact. You know, training is good for you mentally and physically. For me, it's also my therapy. So I use it as therapy. If you know, say you're getting PTSD, you're starting thinking of stuff, you know, whatever, like, oh man, I need to get out of the house. I need to go work out. I need to go to the gym. I need to take my mind off of this. I need to just fucking just iron. I just need to iron. I just need to lift and just, you know,
It's just as much as mental as it is physical. Like, right, if you miss a workout, right, don't you have like the next day you just feel miserable, like
oh
you
yeah,
get cranky, you know?
absolutely, man, absolutely. And not only that, it's not only, you know, just go to the gym. Like you also need to watch what you eat, because I mean, if you're eating garbage food, you're not going to feel good and you're not going to want to train. And it doesn't matter if you eat garbage food, you go train, you're not going to benefit yourself. Really, honestly, you're not. You're just going to put yourself in a bad spot, obesity wise, whatever, because you're eating bad food.
Can't out-train bad nutrition. I mean, that's
Yeah.
always been the standard. Was there a fitness protocol for the guard that you had to do before entering or during? Was there a certain amount of miles that you had to run or
Yeah.
pull-ups?
Yeah. It was a mile and a half run, mile and a half run, sit-ups, push-ups. And honestly,
Mhm.
they need to do more. They need to do more. They need to
Yeah.
make that tougher test. They need, but they make a tougher test. How many people are really going to get in? How many people are really going to stay in? You see what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
that's, I don't know. It's one of those things. It's one of those things where you can't change the standards dramatically, because then you will start losing, individuals.
What kind of support did the guard give people as far as nutrition or training advice?
uh, it's kind of different everywhere. A
Okay.
lot of it kind of depends on your leadership. Um,
I'm
you
sure
know,
you were vocal, right?
oh yeah. I mean, yeah. You
Yeah,
know,
you
for
have
me,
to.
I like to lead by example.
Yeah.
So I mean, I can be vocal sometimes, but I'm willing to be vocal to an extent where I'm not going to start arguing with you on why I do what I do. I lead by example. I'm like, you are just look at me, dude.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to do this, and I'm going to perform at this level, because I mean, yeah, you can follow me if you want. I hope you do, but a lot of people just they don't, and for me, I lead by example, and I hope that motivates, inspires others to do the same. And I know with my story, people have a hard time, understanding like how I went from that to this. And I tell them, it was hard work every single day, because of course I was depressed, and it was hard. It was hard every day to keep moving forward. It was just one of those things. I look in the mirror and I see my port hanging, and I'm 160 pounds soaking wet. I just lost, 50, 60 pounds. I'm trying to get it back. And I'm just like, what the hell? How, it's just in my head. I'm like, just keep working. It'll be back. You made it. You've done it before. Just keep working, fucking one step at a time each day. You will get better each day. And over time you will see your hard work pay off. And it has, and it's amazing. It takes time and patience, and people don't have that. Don't want to have that. And as long as if let's say you go to the gym an hour a day, you continue, stay consistent, keep learning, use your brain, keep learning, learn new things each day, program wise, like do your research on different muscle movements.
And I think what you're hitting on is the education is so important. So for example, right now, the Army has a H2F program where they're trying to standardize everything, because when you leave it haphazard, those who are in the know, they will know. And those who can't find the information will always be floundering around, not finding it. So what the Army is coming together with is a fitness program, nutritional program, mental health program, a spiritual and a financial program, so they can have all these things under
Awesome.
this H2F program, so that we no longer, as military people, have to look. Or the Air Force they're working on this lifestyle medicine, where 80% of the issues that we have from diseases and things come from the way we live. And a lot of it has to go back to nutrition. So if we clean up our nutrition, if we get exercise, we get proper sleep, we stay hydrated, we may be able to lower the amounts of obesity. We might be able to extend our life, with quality of life, not just living longer, but a quality of extension of life.
Absolutely.
So I also think, though, back to you, you're an inspiration, because so many people, when you walk in, you're smiling all the time. And listen, you've had a tough life, but you're glad for your family. You feel blessed to be a father, and you're providing so much inspiration and hope to other wounded warriors and other competitors, and just regular people who say, I'm going through a tough time. I can look at Matt Cable's example of persistence, discipline, dedication, and I also can make it.
I'm curious to know what routine and how did you, we're talking about education. How did you find a routine once you were able to train after you were cleared? Did you come up with your own routine? Did you go through magazines? Did you go through websites? So what did you, how did you put the routine
I can
together?
answer that. He went to muscleandfitness.com. He found all the answers he needed.
Yeah.
Because if you go to Matt Cable, he's jacked right now. Look at him, he's jacked. He's competing. He looks like
Yes,
an IFBB pro in the look at him. Check out
that's
the
right.
guns on Matt Cable. But where did you Yeah, here you go.
Hey, we got to call them cable curls from now
Here
on.
you go. Yeah.
Right.
So how did you put the? Was it a collective? How did you put together the routine?
Honestly, it's the whole trial and error kind of route. So in high school, we actually did this program. It was like bigger, faster, stronger, and I started as a freshman, and it worked so well for me. Freshman, sophomore, junior, senior. I was breaking state record my senior year. That it stayed with me mentally. So I know that rep scheme, that set and rep scheme is like it's ingrained in my head.
What
And
is it?
so so like if I'm going to the gym, I'm doing bench or I'm doing squat, like you're doing your main movements, your squat, bench, deadlift. I know how to build that 100%. And so it's just repetitions over time. And then obviously I transitioned to CrossFit. And so that was a whole new monster. Right. So, I was calling and texting individuals who what CrossFit gym you go to? Because for me, I like having a coach. I like having a coach that knows what they're doing, and he can guide me, and he can mess me up. He can scream at me, tell me whatever. I want to listen. I want to be coached. I like to be coached, and I like to be critiqued. I want to do things the right way, and so you get to pick coaches' brains, especially in CrossFit. And so for me, it was finding the right coach who can help me get to my, help reach my goals.
So Matt, when you went through all this training and you've covered twice, what made you think about competition? Because my first initial thought is you've gone through so much already. You're probably tired. You're worn out, but you're like, no, not me. I'm good. Let's go compete. And not just compete, let's compete at world level competitions.
It's like a fire burn inside. I don't know. I love it. I love competition. I almost used my cancer and my leukemia as like competition. Like, all right, let's see where I can get to tomorrow. Let's not die. Let's keep fighting. Let's see if I can. Let's see how I feel in a week. Let's see how much food I can put down, how much water I can put down. Let's just make little gains each day, even going through my chemotherapy, whatever that was.
And did somebody come and talk to you about the opportunities to compete for the Air Force Wounded Warrior team? Did you read about it? How did you find out about these events?
Actually, somebody referred me to an AFW2 recruiter, and I ended up talking to her, and she told me about this camp, AFW2 camp. I knew nothing about it. I just knew it was, it was for my recovery. And honestly, I was lost. I didn't know what I wanted to do or what there was to do. I just fought this big monster of a fight, and I still went to the gym every day, but I don't know if I had like a specific goal in mind. I didn't know what I wanted to do. Honestly, I had no idea. So I went to my first AFW2 camp for Wounded Warriors, and honestly, it humbled me because obviously I saw what I went through, but like these individuals, I saw what they went through, and so I wasn't alone in my battle, even though they went through something completely different. Like I look over to the left and I saw an individual who didn't have legs. I'm like, I'm blessed, and maybe he thought the same thing about him, whatever. But like everyone's wounds are different is what I'm trying to get at.
Yeah.
And do you become a community, like a family, because each person has a different something about them is different, but you all understand. So does that bond you together where you might go against somebody who might beat you, but you're still happy and still want them to do the best they can, even if they beat you?
Exactly. Yes. The biggest thing for me is honestly just seeing their smile on their face, and obviously doing the best that I can. But I really just love seeing them be at their top level and happy, being next to somebody who's gone through similar things and is fighting a battle that, you know, we might not even know anything about, but they're there for a reason. If that's, you know, mentally, they're mentally or physically, they're there for a reason. And so,
And for these games, do you have to qualify? Do you just compete because you want to, or do you compete at local levels and build your way up to regional and national levels?
Yeah, you build your way up. You go through trials, and then from trials, then you go to, you know, the Warrior Games, and then from Warrior Games, you get chosen for Invictus, which is worldwide. So you're against about 20 plus countries worldwide. So the top of each country, you're competing against them. And I think
Is that the Rocks thing?
Invictus? No, Invictus is worldwide. It's like the Warrior Games, but so
it was founded by Prince Harry.
Yeah, yep. And so competing there with my first time was last year, and it was amazing. The experience was amazing. It takes such good care of you. It was an honor to be able to meet Prince Harry. But no, the Rocks, his television show was the Titan Games, and that was actually, I got invited in 2018, and it was incredible. I was able to share my story to the world, and I still get messages saying that they're watching my episode on Netflix or whatever, and just hearing my story, they're just like, oh my God, you know, just like, oh, this, you know, this individual in my family has cancer. Like, your story is so incredible, like, inspiring. And so I read that. It's so cool to read that, you know, knowing that I'm helping somebody across the world. It's just the coolest thing. But no, the Rocks television show was called Titan Games.
Yeah.
And it aired in 2019. I was on episode 6 of season 1.
Check it out.
And I'm definitely keep my fingers crossed that there's gonna be a season 3, because I want to be on it. Redemption.
So, but Matt, also let us know, how did you do at the Invictus Games, and also give us a little bit of background about the Warrior Games, the Wounded Warrior Games, because I know that you're going to be participating in both in 2023.
Yeah. So Warrior Games was good. So my first Warrior Games actually was after it was in 2017 in Chicago. It was after my first round, or after my first episode with leukemia, my first fight with leukemia. I was able to fight back, and so it was an honor to be chosen for the Warrior Games in Chicago. And I placed, I think I got 3 medals in Chicago. And fast forward to 2022, I actually went to Invictus first, and from Invictus, I placed, I think I had 7 medals, and it was incredible. So I obviously shot from Warrior Games. I shot to Invictus and got 7 medals. Then Warrior Games was in Orlando just a few months ago, and I believe I got 3 golds, 2 silvers, and a bronze. Or no, let's see. No, I think it was 4 golds, 2 silvers, and a bronze.
What do you do with all the medals?
My wife, so we're having a house built, and she's like, don't worry, babe, we're gonna have an office just for all your medals. And I'm like, oh God.
For those who don't know what the events are, can you take us quickly through some of the events in the Invictus? And
so personally, like, my events that I compete in, so track and field, and honestly, track is my favorite. You would think throwing, you know, in field would be my favorite, but no, I'm a sprinter. So I participate in the 100-meter dash, 200-meter dash, and usually depends on how I feel, but I can run the 400. Obviously I'm a bigger guy, so the 400 is always fun, but and then the 4x1 relay, which is also an amazing event because I get to compete, you know, alongside some amazing athletes, and so that's a lot of fun. And then
how much do you weigh, Matt? How much do you weigh that you're sprinting here?
I'm about 230.
All right. Okay.
My track is like, so I have a goal in Invictus. I want to hit a 10.9 100 meter dash, and I ran a sub 11 at the Warrior Games, so I PR'd at the Warrior Games. So it was a middle 11.5 100 meter dash, and so felt good. I won gold in the 100 meter and 200, and I want to hit a 10.9 for Invictus. So I have a goal. My coach, she was like, "Well, you better cut some weight," and I'm like, "You're not wrong."
So when you're doing all this training, do you have a specialized diet? Do you use a lot of supplementation? You have to try to monitor your sleep and hydration, and wear any kind of devices that does, any kind of biohacking of your body?
So for me, supplementation is huge, and eating's huge. Hitting my proper macro count, not to a T, but I know that my body, the way I train, I need a lot of carbs, I need a lot of protein, calories. So I also have a Whoop on my wrist, which keeps track of my day strain, my sleep, exact sleep, my day strain, and my recovery, which is huge. So I mean, I like to know if I'm in the green, I'm like, let's go hard. If I'm in the red, I'm like, all right, I don't want to go as hard because my body is trying to recover, and I gotta just be careful, but still train hard. And then supplementation. So I use supplements from First Form. I'm sure you've heard First Form. Mm-hmm. So for me, reds and greens are a must for me every day, because the normal person isn't going to get their full serving of greens in a day. They're just not going to do it. So, and greens are one of the most important thing for you. And so I supplement greens and reds every day on top of the greens I do eat, like asparagus or whatever. So reds and greens are a must. I then make sure that post workout, so I'm done my workout, I take protein and carbs, so ignition. So it's called Formula One Ignition, and so that's my whey protein and my isolate protein and my my carbs for my energy level to go back up and for my muscles to start recovering ASAP, to kind of get me ready to come home. And then when I get home, I eat. So I got to eat all the protein. If that's, like once a day I'm having red meat, so that's a steak or hamburger, I'm eating it. And always with rice, so like white rice. And my morning breakfast I always eat before I train, and I'm having like 4 to 5 eggs with some type of carb. So that's either oatmeal or that's toast with like some type of butter spread, like it could be peanut butter or walnut seed spread or whatever they have these days, with like banana. And yeah, I feel great. I go train and feel good, and then after I'm done training, I go eat some more. For me, I eat a lot, so I can keep my body recovered. But I'm also training hard every day.
How long are you training, Matt? How many hours a day are you training?
So I do it in two increments. So two sessions. Mm-hmm. I'll train in the morning early. I will then come home after my training session. So it's a couple hours, like probably 2 to 3 hours. I come home. I then, hang out with my son, and Ensley goes and trains because she trained hard in bikini. She wants to get that pro card, and after she comes back, I'm hanging out with Cabe, whatever. I'm eating all the food too, by the way. So I'm eating good amount of food. I'm resting while I'm trying to watch him. So yeah, I'm very lucky if he takes a nap, because if he takes a nap, I can then relax and rest my body. Then my wife comes home, and then I leave and I go training, and I'm gone.
If there's a half a pound of chicken in the fridge, who gets it? You or your wife? That's the only chicken left.
Well, she is hard on her macros, so she only gets 4 ounces regardless. So I'm like, oh, all right, get the 4 ounces, I got the rest. And yeah, I go train for a couple hours and come home, wiped out. But my rest days are Thursdays and Sundays, so those are my active recovery days. So I'm either going on a hike, I'm walking with my son, whatever that is. I'm still getting out of the house regardless. So
and so Matt, with all that you're doing, your training, your nutrition, you're raising your families, where do you see yourself going in the next 2 to 5 years? Like, how much more competition do you see yourself doing? Do you see yourself being a coach from a training coach? Do you see yourself being an inspirational coach, or something else that we haven't talked about?
Honestly, I kind of see myself in both. Honestly, I actually just recently talked to my wife about this. I haven't told anybody yet, but I would love to coach and mentor young kids, being like, high school level, if that's being a football coach. I know for me, a big thing, I'm sure you probably can relate, was when you're growing up and you're, in middle school, high school, and let's say your parents aren't necessarily supportive of you doing these sports or whatever that is, you're kind of on your own. A lot of these kids are on their own. They don't have anyone guiding them. For me, and I didn't either. I didn't either. My parents split. Obviously, they divorced, and my mom, she didn't know anything about sports. My stepdad didn't know anything about sports. My dad, he was he was in Hawaii and he was doing his thing, So I don't have anyone to look up to. And so for me, my coaches I looked up to. And like, you have your coaches you really love. You have coaches where you don't necessarily like a whole bunch. But I looked up to these coaches who knew their shit, and they were able to help me and guide me, as much as they could. and I think back on it, and they helped me a lot more than they even know they did, And so for me, I would love to be a mentor to these kids, these individuals that need it, because it's always nice. It's nice to have someone to look up to and to help guide you in the right direction. So for me, that would be kind of a goal of mine. And I would like that, honestly, through, obviously with training and leading by example, and just being there for individuals, if they had any questions. That would be kind of a cool for me.
There's a lot of truth to that. So I was a football coach as well. My dad was a narcotics detective in the NYPD, and he always worked out. So we worked out. Like, my dad, I learned from him, sitting on top of the stairs and looking down in the basement and watching him work out. And, so that's where I got it. When I started coaching my son's football, kids are so impressionable of, like they see the muscles, they're like, you're like a superhero. What do you do? But you look at their dads and you look at the other people, and there's a big correlation between the kids being obese and the parents being obese. And it's
Absolutely.
funny, like, we're going, all right, you made a tackle, you had a good game, we're going to Carvel. No, like, no one's there to teach them. So you hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you obviously leading by example, but the kids don't have the information that they need at that age to kind of give them the tools that they need for their entire life. So you'll be like, I've done a lot of seminars and stuff with kids at YMCA's and stuff, and I, like 5-10 years later, they come up to me, oh, I remember you giving us the seminar. I've been working out in the gym. Like, it means a lot to them. So you would be an amazing example for kids and what you've been through. Like, people always making excuses, like the movie Dodgeball. Remember when he doesn't show up? He's like, Lance Armstrong goes, yeah, I had cancer, and but I'm sure you had a good reason why you didn't go to the game. Like.
Yeah. Yep. Oh yeah. Yep. What's funny is I didn't have anyone to help me, guide me. Like, I was eating the most garbage food. Like, my parents didn't know. My parents didn't know what was good, what was bad, So I remember I was talking to this really, really good athlete, and he was a crosstown rival. And it was actually a track practice. And we actually combined practices for that day. And I was kind of like joking around with them, I'm like, hey man, I'm tired, man. I had a Coke for breakfast. And he looked at me. He's like, what did you drink for breakfast?
Yeah.
I had a Coke. He's like, I think he looked at me and shook his head. And that stuck with me. That was like 12 years ago. And that still stuck to me. I'm like, I was drinking a Coke in the morning? What? Yeah. And so I don't know, it's just like nutrition. Like he was the state 100-meter dash sprinter. So he knew, obviously he knew his stuff, what was going on. His parents must have, raised him right, and proper nutrition growing up, whatnot. He kind of shook his head at me. He's like, what are you doing? I don't even drink soda. And, me, I'm like, I just had a Coke or two before breakfast, this morning. And so just kind of goes to show you, like,
you don't know.
You don't know. So
I thought a pound of bologna would put a pound of muscle on me when I was 13. So when I went to the deli, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna eat a pound of bologna, I'm gonna get muscle, until I started getting like Flex magazine, and obviously Muscle and Fitness was big for me with the Weeders and such. So I was like, oh, Lee Haney eats chicken, and not chicken fingers. Oh,
yeah, I
okay.
know, right?
Eye opening.
It is 100%, man. So
And that what you're hitting on is a lot of folks, they just don't know.
yeah,
But also they're depending on where they live, like a lot of inner cities and rural areas, they have food deserts where they just don't have the quality food that they need. So, we try to encourage people to do the best they can with the circumstances that they have. But I think, having this kind of discussion will be very, very helpful to folks, because maybe what we could do is find some links that might be able to provide them some basic information on nutrition and help guide them the right way, because it's going to be a lot of trial and error. But if we can give them the foundation to start making better choices, or even in some cases, better bad choices, instead of eating the worst fried chicken, maybe you
yeah,
have another kind of chicken.
yeah,
You can try to do a little bit better most days of the week, but information is key.
absolutely. Oh, very, very much key. I know for me, it was a lot of trial and error, and a lot of like lessons learned. Trying to figure stuff out. Because I mean, we don't even know how. I know leukemia is usually environmental. Usually, it's whatever, if it's burn pits or whatever it's going through, but it could be stuff that I was eating. You just don't know. I didn't eat the greatest growing up, and so who knows? We just don't know. But the best thing for you to do is to start young, start now, watching what you eat, so you can possibly prevent these
Sure.
these diseases and health concerns and whatnot. So
Matt,
my two cents.
what would you like to see now, like implemented into the Guard, into military, like as far as fitness? Like obviously you're involved in, in fitness and CrossFit and all these games. What would you like to see happen, and how do you think they should go about increasing awareness about proper nutrition and training?
Maybe I think every unit possibly hire a like a nutritional coach who can talk to every individual, see how they're doing, see how they're eating, see what their habits are, and maybe try to possibly break them and get them to eat a little cleaner. I think the biggest thing is to eat cleaner. A lot of people think that going to McDonald's or going and getting fast food once a day is okay.
Yeah.
It's not. You start cleaning that up. You take away that burger. You change that to like chicken with like some type of green, being asparagus or broccoli or whatever that is. You change that up, and you're going to see a huge difference. If you take out soda every day, you're going to see a huge difference. If you start drinking more water, you're going to see a huge difference. So, and people think drinking Coke, drinking whatever, it's like all this, even like Powerade. You think you're drinking 2 Powerades a day is good for you. That's a lot of sugar. You stick with water, man. So let's drink that water. Drink it. Stay from the pop. If you're a heavy pop drinker, drink one a week. Drink,
Or,
so
what you can also do is, like when you were saying, get off the hamburgers. Sometimes it's hard for people who've only eaten one way. So maybe what you can say is, you can think about trying to restrict. Instead of eating it 5 days a week, maybe have it 2 days a week.
yeah,
Try to eat it before 5 o'clock. Don't try to
Moderation.
eat that meal and then go to bed. So there are different ways that you can still do what you did, or some of the habits, you start to refrain from them a little bit, because it's going to be hard to just go cold turkey and start to eat correctly the first time out.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
By the end of a year, you give yourself a goal, and you keep coming back to Muscle and Fitness. You keep listen to people like Frank and yourself, and one thing that there's out there, there's an abundance of information. Finding the right information could be tough, but you can go to health.gov, you can go to cdc.gov, you can come again to muscleandfitness.com. You can find a whole lot of great resources for free. And I think whatever we give you, you got to want to do it too, though. No matter what happened, Matt, you wanted to be a champion. You wanted to work out. You wanted to beat leukemia. You wanted to be an example and a role model for others. So while we can give you the tools and we can be part of your community, you got to do the work.
Yep. 100%. Love it.
Mhm.
Basically, what I like what Matt was saying too. Look, the choices we make are going to dictate how we look and how we feel. There's certain cultural things too, people, the way that they eat and stuff. But if you eat in moderation, some of the bad things, you'll be much better off. But I like what Matt was saying about his training, about it's basically basic. It was foundations, it was compound movements, and it was running. It was like, basic stuff. Sometimes people get caught up in their heads that they got to do these elaborate schemes and workouts to benefit. But we all know the squat, the deadlift, the bench, sprints, jogging and stuff, push-ups, pull-ups, the basics have built some of the greatest physiques in the world. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. You know what I mean? So I mean that's where you have to start. You agree?
Yeah, I think a big thing for a lot of these individuals who are out there and have a hard time going to the gym, I think a lot of it is education reasons, not knowing what to do, what movements to do. They go in a gym and they just don't know,
Yeah.
and that's their fault. But it's one of those things where if you want to go to the gym, you gotta train your mind. You gotta learn these movements. You gotta, like, with all the technology we have these days, you can go on your phone. You can look for, you can get a program right there, and or you could also, find a coach that's not very expensive. You can find a coach that can help you, show you movements as well. But for me, obviously, the biggest thing would be, which is kind of why I like CrossFit, because you pay kind of a good amount of money, but now you have a coach / trainer. You go in there every day. They're going to help you. They're going to guide you. They're going to show you proper form, technique. You don't have to want to go to the CrossFit games or anything, but it's, even if you go 3 times a week, they're going to teach you stuff. They're going to show you these movements, and you can use them on a day-to-day basis. You can use them in a normal gym. So then you can use your normal gym membership, and now you know some things, and now you can, like, you know how to squat. You can go squat in the squat rack. You can go and do lunges now. You can go lunge for, like, leg day.
Sure.
Do some calf exercises, but you would do a whole leg workout. You can do push-ups, bench press, learn proper form, technique. So it's just a lot of it's just
That's the great thing too about being in the military or being affiliated to the military, that every base has a fitness center, and so they're free, and so you get a chance to utilize these facilities. You get a chance to talk to the trainers. But for those people who don't have access to a base, maybe you could do something called exercise snacks. So you're watching television, your favorite show comes on. During the commercials, maybe you do 20 push-ups, maybe you do 20 crunches, you run in place for 20 seconds. You just keep moving, because exercise and physical activity, they're different things. So we're trying to be physically active for about 150 to 300 minutes a week. And if we don't start doing something, we will probably just keep gaining weight, and being obese, being elderly, it gets tougher and tougher. So the sooner that we can get people moving, the sooner that we can get people exercising and eating better, the better off they will be, and the better off our country will be. Healthy citizens make a better country.
You are 100% right. You have to want to do it. There's
Yeah.
I mean, I can go on Matt Cable's Instagram. I don't have to pay for the CrossFit, and I can get all the exercises. I can go to muscleandfitness.com and I get hundreds of routines, but you got to stop the excuses. You know what I mean? Muscle and Fitness has thousands of routines on it. Social media is available, YouTube. I
Yep.
mean, there's something to fit your fitness level and you like, and I think you find something you really enjoy to do as an ex-athlete in football and wrestling. You found something in CrossFit that you can progress and that you
Exactly.
love it so much. And the more you like something, the more you're going to do it. It doesn't feel like a job. Like you look forward to it every day. Like I look forward to going to the gym every day, and I'm sure you do too, because you have an ultimate goal at hand.
Yeah.
So I think when people find something they like to do, the more they're going to do it. So go on musclefitness.com and look for something.
The biggest thing for me is when I hear the word obsessed.
Mm-hmm.
And I am 100% obsessed with what I'm doing and how I train. And you have to be, if you want to be one of the best, one of the greatest. You have to be obsessed with what you're doing. You love it. You got to be obsessed with it. But that goes with everything. That goes with work, your work. Want to be great, you got to be obsessed with it. If you want to, you know, be a great father, be obsessed. You know, it goes with life in general. And so for me in CrossFit, me in training, I'm obsessed, and I love getting better 1% each day, getting better. And
that's great, Matt, because if it was easy, everybody would do it. So, you know, Frank has been a champion bodybuilder. He's been on covers, hundreds of covers throughout the world, but it's the dedication and the discipline that he displayed over a long period of time, because sometimes you have these one-hit wonders, or someone who kind of comes in for a year or two to sustain it for year after year. That is really, really a great trait to have. It also shows that you're disciplined, you stay hardworking, you probably have injuries and things you've overcome, but you don't give up the fight. You stay in the arena.
I'll never complain what Matt's gone through. I won't complain about a sore elbow or I don't feel, you know, I'll get over it. I keep it to myself.
Awesome, man. No, I mean, it's not even about like you said, you can go on my Instagram and be like, wow, that's intimidating. I don't want to go work out now because that's intimidating. You know, it's not about that. It's about your life, you know, like living a healthy life. You don't got to go and be crazy in the gym, you know, just get your heart rate, heart rate up, start eating cleaner, get your heart rate up, go in the gym for 45 minutes, get a sweat on, and just continue doing that each day. You know, it's just being healthy and living a longer, healthier life.
Good advice.
That's great, Matt. So we've had you for a bit here, and where can we find you? First of all, what's your next competition? Then where can we find you on social media?
So I actually just had a CrossFit competition. It's actually this past weekend, and we did pretty well. It was a great competition down here in Lakeland, Florida. Next competition, I honestly haven't picked one out. I know there are a couple coming up. I haven't picked one out yet. I'm sorry, but you can find me. My Instagram is Matt Cable _, and then Facebook. If you just type in Matt Cable, you should be able to find me. My mug will come up. But yeah, I know there'll be a competition in my future soon. So,
well, if you come to New York, we'd love to see you on the sleeveless Muscle and Fitness Live workout show at the.
Let's go. Okay, let's do it. I'm game.
Yeah.
Actually, leaving for DC this weekend, so I actually I get to see Rob in person for the first time. Actually, Rob, you excited to see me?
We'll be together also with Phil Heath and Dan Solomon and some others, and so it's going to be great. But first of all, thank you for serving our country. Thank you for what you do to inspire others and make others feel like they can also do it, because
they can.
You never know who's watching you, and you never know that the person who's having a tough day saw you overcome something, and now you give them the desire, the want, and the ability to push on. They get to that next day, because as you said earlier in our interview, it's day by day, it's step by step, and that's how you make it. So we all thank you for that, especially during this month, you know, which is National Military Fitness and Wellness Month. We're calling attention to the importance of being physically fit, being healthy, especially to our military community. It's important that people like you share your stories and tell your stories, so that others will also say, I want to do something similar to that. I don't want to be Matt, but I want to be physically fit. I want to eat correctly. I want to be here longer for my family. So thank you, Matt. We appreciate it.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you both. Yeah. Thank you so much for the interview.
And I'm inspired by listening to the story now too. So I'm going to pick up my game just in case we, you know.
I love it.
Yeah. But no, thank you so much, you know, on behalf of Muscle and Fitness, and obviously, you know, everybody watching, we really appreciate that you taking the time.
Well, thank you, sir. Appreciate you.
All righty, guys. Thanks.